Right.
Can you hear it now?
I don't know. I hear him now.
What do I do? What's going on, everybody? I'm going to mute this amazing musical bot we've got going on right now. Give me a second. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. There we go. Whoa, we hear applause and everything. I'm going to invite the rest of the crew up here. It's going to be about 10 minutes before we actually officially start. But since so many of you guys are already logging in, we wanted to make sure that we acknowledged you. So I'm going to bring the rest of the guys up on stage. We may get started a little bit earlier. This is a new platform for us. It's probably a new platform for you. We're excited about Fireside. We'll talk a little bit more about some things we're going to be doing with Fireside at the very end of the show. But super excited to have you guys here. It's definitely is not something that we've been doing a lot lately when it comes to live, but it is kind of full circle because when we decided to launch this podcast 5 years ago today, when we set that I talk about this all the time. We set that microphone up on our kitchen table in California. We put a video camera up and went on live on Facebook for the first time, and we did the whole thing start to finish live. So, and we did the same thing on May the 4th of 2020 when we did our first episode with Facebook Watch. When they partnered with us. And so it's kind of full circle for us to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can bring the rest of the crew up on stage. I'll start with, I think I'm going to start with Samuel the Hutt since he's the older of this. We'll see if we can bring him up and he'll have to accept. There we go. All right. Looks like he's going to be logging to get it. Yeah, you got to get it. It may take a second to accept. There we go. I hear you.
Hey, there we go. So
This is different.
It is. We're gonna hear each other echoing through this. All right, now I'm gonna invite. Let's see, we're gonna invite BB Nate up here. Get him going on this. Invite to video. BB Nate's voice has changed dramatically. And he's grown up. He was 12 years old when we started this thing. Sam was 16, 5 years ago. So it's definitely a lot of fun. I'm gonna see if I can take these off because they're glaring like crazy, and I shouldn't need them. Oh, we forgot. I forgot a light. I'm sorry. There. Now he's gonna have a little bit better light. With that, let me make it a little brighter here. Let's see here. All right. Whoops, going the wrong direction. This is why we do this.
We'll figure this out eventually.
Talk to him, Sam. Tell him a little bit about what your world is right now.
It is finals for me, and so I'm very stressed. I've been like noticing, like I can't even really get in the Christmas spirit right now, just because I'm so stressed about making sure I pass my classes. And I've got A's and everything except one class, and it's gonna be a lot of issues. So I'm hoping I can bring it up before the end of the semester, but it's stressing me out. So if I weren't doing this right now, we'd probably end up being studying. So that's fun. I'm excited to be doing this. It kind of like dawned on me, like as we were getting ready for this, is like it's been 5 years, and like so much has happened over 5 years. It's crazy to like look back on it all and remember it. So it's really cool to be doing this. So
very cool. BB Nate, what's your world like right now as we're getting ready to start?
There's not much to it. I'm gonna be honest. It's pretty boring. I don't have much going on.
You're not taking college classes.
I'm not taking college classes. Not at all.
All right. So homeschooling, church, training a dog. You can tell them a little bit about your dog. Go for that. Yeah.
He's a lot. He's a mess. But we're figuring it out. I mean, he's getting a little bit worse and a little bit better every day. I feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Or 2 steps back, 1 step forward.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
He's a puppy, so there's getting issues. He doesn't realize how big he is yet. So he's got all this energy in a really big package, and there's a lot of problems that come with that. So that's fun to navigate. But
so tell them a little bit about like who the dog is and what his size is and all that fun stuff while I get all that stuff logged in here.
So he's a golden doodle. He's what last we measured, I think he's like 35 pounds, something like that. And only like a couple months old. We named him Rex because Star Wars. But also Rex from Toy Story because our last dog was Buster from Toy Story. So it kind of fit the vibe. But he is super sweet, like super lovable, but just does not want to listen. Like he is so stubborn. Like he knows what he's supposed to do, but he just doesn't want to do it. He will willfully disobey. So it's a challenge, but we love him.
We do.
He's a good dog.
He is.
And dogs and Star Wars go big for us right now because most of you that are tuning in, if you haven't heard the story, I'm sure we'll end up talking about Turvis the Porg at some point. But yeah, exactly. Turvis the Porg is named after our dog that we had to put down, about 9 months ago? now,
something like that.
who was named Buster. So, Buster, we flipped the syllables. These two knuckleheads did. They flipped the syllables and created the Tuckerization of the name, which is Turvis. And from there, it went to Turvis the Pork. So, very cool.
It did.
All right, we've got a couple more minutes. We're going to let some people log in. I'm going to make sure that it's going out to some of the other sites that I wanted to try to get it out on. So we'll see if it's doing that and stuff. Give ourselves a couple more minutes and we'll get started for real. So
Man, we have been getting spoiled with trailers yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
It is a great time to be a nerd right now.
So many.
Like everything that came out yesterday was almost something we were excited in. I was really excited about the new Transformers trailer. I could probably run a whole segment on podcast just about that. But I'm not sure very many other people would be all that interested in it. We got that. We got Indiana Jones, which was I was not expecting that.
I don't think anybody was. But it was a pleasant surprise. It was great. It was a great trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they got the aging done right. It was well done.
I think it was because the technology is good enough now, and Harrison Ford looks pretty similar to how he did when he was young, just with a few more wrinkles. So they just can unwrinkle him, and he'll be pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was a little worried though, just like that there wasn't going to be much action because I mean he's getting old, so I don't know how much you do. I mean, obviously they have stunt doubles and things like that.
Yeah,
but
of course.
still, that's a lot on him for that. But I'm glad to see he's back because
I feel like
a fun movie.
it really gave Harrison Ford some breath, something fresh, some excitement.
Well, he loves the character, so I'm sure he was more than happy to come back. It's different than coming back for Han,
Right.
This is like something that was entirely his own in a way, and nothing's happened with it for a long time. I mean, when did Crystal Skull come out?
Oh, what was that? 2010. It was a while back.
Yeah,
it was a while back.
So it's been a long time since he's had an indie movie, and Crystal Skull wasn't received the best. So I'm sure he's eager to redeem himself, for lack of a better term. But from what I can see in the trailer, it looks like he'll do that. So,
well, why don't we do this? Why don't we get started? We'll get started a couple of minutes early since you guys are already in here, and we want to make sure that we value your participation in this, and we go from there. So the first thing we kind of wanted to talk about was I wanted to get some feedback from these guys about what their favorite moment outside of Turvis the Pork, what their favorite moment in the 5 years that we have been launching this show was. So I'm going to start and make Sam go first, since Sam tends to make decisions more quickly than me.
That's very true.
We'll give him a chance to do that. All right, Samuel, what is the most memorable moment outside of Turvis the Pork for you in the 5 years that we've been doing this show?
Jeez. I mean, it's tough because there's both a lot of things which were blessed to have, but like I can't remember a lot of it at the moment. That's horrible. I mean, obviously, touring Lucasfilm is still blows my mind that we were able to do that. I mean, that's something that a lot of people dream of being able to do. But on top of that, not only were we allowed to tour Lucasfilm, but we were given the tour by Matt Martin, one of the story group leads. Like that in and of itself is pretty incredible. Meeting Ryan Johnson is crazy. And we have had so many experiences that people, it's like a once in a lifetime experience, and we've had many of them just because we happen to have this podcast. So we're truly blessed to have all the experiences we have right now. So
What about you, BB?
I don't know. I feel like all of the celebrations that we've had, that we've been able to go to, are just always awesome. And just the ability to go and see people that we know from the podcast, meet them, and just understanding everything about it is great. It's such an awesome experience that we've been able to have because of this podcast.
I'm going to try something. We're going to work on some sound stuff that we're trying to fix here. Give me a second. I'm going to try to mute these guys. You're muted, and you're muted, and I'm not. Can you guys still hear us okay? In the chat there, let me know if you can hear us okay. We're going to go off of one. Yes, better. Awesome. All right, except we lost
that's for
somebody.
you, but I don't know if they can hear us.
No, they can. Can you guys talk? Say something.
I'm saying something, so let us know if you can hear me.
What about you? Can you hear?
Can you hear me?
All right. All right, good. So it looks like they can hear. So they're going to pick up off of my mic. You guys are going to be picking up off of my microphone, so it's not echoing, which is what it's been doing on that. So
All right.
that's good. And it looks like our camera's coming in and out. So I apologize. We're gonna keep trying to do. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off notifications, because every time a notification comes in, I'm gonna get distracted and distracted. So we're good to go on that. Sam, so you can get your camera going.
Wi-Fi is
No, our Wi-Fi is just fine. I think it's the combination of things here going on right now. Let's see. Get you guys in here. All right. Nate's on there. We can't get Sam to log in here, so we're trying to.
should I maybe hop out and hop back in?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, you're gone now.
I know. I did that for him. So. All right. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about what we did this weekend while we're getting ready, while I get this stuff fixed here. So or not this weekend, but this week. What did we tell them a little bit about our trip that we took and what happened?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not sure.
You go, BB Nate.
Yeah.
Well, we decided to make a trip down to LA because we got invited to the Willow Green Carpet premiere.
That's what they ended up calling
They
it,
ended up
right?
calling it Green Carpet premiere. And so we decided to fly. We left at like 3 in the morning our time, and eventually we made it way late. We got there at about 1 or 2 California time, which our time is about 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an exhausting day, and then we still had the premiere that night. And so we decided to go to the premiere, and that was a ton of fun. And then we slept for like 7 hours, maybe. And
Maybe
woke up
at best.
and flew back. And that was a very exhausting 35, 40 hours that we dealt with. But it was a ton of fun to be able to go to a premiere, and who knows, maybe we can do a couple more sometime.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. With that, we're getting Sam logged on here. Let's see who else is in the chat here while we're pulling this up. Let me see what's going on. You guys are chatting. Samuel left the stage just because we're trying to get him logged on. With that, all right. Let's see here. Trying to get him to log in. It's not giving him a chance to do it. So. Yeah. So yeah. It's here. Here's where the Willow thing came together for us. So 5 years ago when we launched this podcast, it was really as part of our excitement in the lead up to Last Jedi, and you can tell obviously we're big Last Jedi fans here. I've got the Last Jedi. I mean, I had to wear my Last Jedi shirt for this. We've got, I don't know if you can see it behind me, can't really right now. Maybe if we can get Sam on a little bit. We've got a Last Jedi poster out here signed by Rian Johnson. We're big Last Jedi fans. We were super excited about the Last Jedi when it was the build up to it, and that was one of the things that moved us to desire to start a podcast. It was, we were talking about the Last Jedi all the time. Is my wife Christy and their moms would testify to. We're talking about it nonstop. I remember we spent like after the main trailer. So there was the teaser trailer, that Celebration.
I need you to put me up on stage.
I need to put him up. Give me a second. With that, oh yeah, I got to come in here. So yeah, so we watched that the main trailer, the one where like Kylo Ren's walking through into what ended up being the Crate Cave. You guys remember that? Yeah. I remember we went into the hot tub at the townhouses we lived at, and you guys remember doing that? Entire trailer, walking through this. So I don't know if I off. I may have. We watched the whole thing and then talk it through. So I'll let you guys talk about that for a second while I get him set up here.
We were there talking about that trailer for a while. So enthralled, I guess is a good saying. We love Force Awakens, and we watched that trailer many times. That first one that came out, and I remember when the tickets came out, we went to our local theater and bought tickets that time because just absolutely crashed and flooded, and so we went to the theater and had to buy tickets there, and we had to wait in line for like almost half an hour, and it was crazy. It was a huge deal. We were super excited about, and we just loved talking about it because we were so excited about Star Wars again, and it was such a, I guess, a mystifying trailer. As a good way of saying it, there was so much to it that you could talk and speculate about. Everything we speculated about was 100% wrong. And nothing we had in it was right, and so the entire movie just flipped all of our. It was kind of what you want in a movie like that, and so that was exciting. It was exciting to speculate about Star Wars again, get our own headcanon, understand that headcanon is bad after this movie, and then being able to be excited about Star Wars and love.
Yeah. No, they can't hear anything. Get my headphones back on.
I'm gonna put my airplane mode because it's here.
There we go. With some sound back.
Because like
Yeah, this is I'm trying to help us with some sound stuff right now. So I apologize, guys, about the confusion on this. We're trying to get this all worked out. Again, we're using a platform we've never used before, and these apps are not working the way that we thought that they would. So we're going to try to run off of the mic on this, guys, and see if that works a little bit better. There is an issue with simulcasting. Yeah, thanks. There's an issue with a lot of stuff right now. Okay. Looks like we're on stage. Nate, you're on there. I'm going to make sure video gets turned on for me here. And we're going to try this again.
Let's see.
All right, let's see if we can get video on here. All right. Looks like we got a couple of you guys looking. All right. I hear you, Sam.
You do?
I heard something.
Well, it's because it's going through your mic.
Oh yeah.
And you're on there. So, and now you're gone, Dad. On my thing.
It's not letting me log in.
My app is just lagging so hard right now.
Yeah, me too.
I know you guys can hear us, so why don't we get talking about the Willow premiere this week? So, we landed and we went to the premiere. What was the first big surprise when we got the red carpet that we experienced with that?
Yeah, I mean, it was green. When you go to a premiere, generally you expect it to be a red carpet, but they colored it green because it's a forest theme.
And
so that was kind of cool, actually.
that was, yeah. And they added some foliage around the area too. And everything about it was just awesome. I mean, the entire environment was cool. And they really made it. And seeing the costumes that they wore on screen, that was cool too, because they're very in-depth costumes and well created, but that's not surprising for Lucasfilm.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool because they had a bunch of fans in there as well, but they were all in costume and stuff too. That was cool. I love when they allow fans to do that just because they're cosplayers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I did not know that there were that many people that cosplayed Willow.
Yeah,
that was surprising.
Yeah, that was fun, and it was kind of bizarre because like we're standing there and there's a bunch of other people, for lack of a better term, like us, not celebrities, and we're standing there and we're just kind of taking it all in, and then all of a sudden there's a David Collins,
right,
and we're like, oh my gosh, would you look at that? And so we go over and we were talking to him. And as we're talking to David Collins, Nathan, you give me you shoulder nudge me.
I shoulder nudge, yes.
And you're like, that's Finn Wolfhard. And I look over and walks right by us. I mean, it's just such a weird environment because like there's so many people like that who are just there when you never see them ever before that. So it was a really pretty cool.
It was awesome. It was really cool to see all that. So, and be with everybody. I mean, just being in the environment was a lot of fun. And just being with all the same people like us, the fans, that were always just felt honored to be there. And it was just an awesome experience. And we sat in a little section full of other podcasters, which was that was fun too. And to see all them and meet them for the first time, some of them. Was a really cool experience to have.
All right, we're going to make a change here on this. So I'm going to go ahead and have both of those guys log off. And then I'm going to turn my camera here and see if we can go with a different profile on that. It's not working though, is it? All right, that's awesome.
Or it's just lag behind.
Is your screen lock on?
No, there we go.
It was just slow.
All right, so I'm going to have those two guys log off, and we're going to change up the format here. Except you guys won't be able to hear what's going on.
Okay.
So we got to fix that. So.
Are you able to pull it up? No, you're not able to pull it up on your computer, are you?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe so. So we're gonna change up the format here just a little bit. I'm gonna actually take over on.
Okay.
You guys can't hear me. Okay. We're gonna shift things around just a little bit. I'm going to invite my buddy Lucas up on the stage. Let me find him in here. Let's see. I lost him, it looks like. There he is. All right. I'm going to invite Lucas up on stage, and I'm going to have him talk a little bit about Willow. We're going to have a conversation about that. If you don't know Lucas has got a great podcast. He's my buddy. Lucas is one of the hosts of The Reverend and the Reprobate. What's going on, Lucas? How are you, my friend?
What's going on, guys? Can y'all hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you great. All right. Now we got to figure out how they're going to hear us through this. So let's talk a little bit about Willow. So my question for you first is,
yes,
came out 19. Am I echoing on your end, Lucas?
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. It's echoing in my ears, so I just want to make sure. All right.
All right.
Did you watch Willow in 1988? I mean, were you a Willow fan, or is Willow something that you sort of caught on as the excitement for the new series was getting ready to come up?
Yeah, so in 88, I was 3, and I don't recall Willow being part of my ether at the time. But I did. So my podcasting partner, Danley, didn't show me Willow. He was the first one to introduce me to it. I didn't see Willow until I was in my 20s. So that was my first exposure to it. But that's almost 20 years ago now, because I'm getting old. So around like 1920, or my age, 1920, somewhere in there is where I saw Willow for the first time. And I was really kind of taken with it because I'm an effects guy. Like, I love special effects. All right. And I knew that ILM had a part in it. I'm a big fan of Ron Howard, and this was one of Ron's first films. And so that's really what had me hooked. So the first time that I saw Willow, I immediately kind of became entranced with it because of the nerd cinemaphile in me was way, way, way into it. That and Doc Holliday was a crazy guy that was trapped in a cage, right? So there were a lot of things about Willow that I thought were really intriguing. But the storyline at first, like the first couple of times I watched it, the storyline to me felt really campy. But around, I don't know, maybe watch 4 or 5, things really started to change for me. Now, my wife, who was not into any kind of sci-fi fantasy stuff until we started dating, she watched Willow for the first time because we were talking about, hey, there's this new series coming out. She starts seeing pictures of you guys on the red carpet, a few days ago. And she's like, all right, well, if the Jessies are into it, maybe it's something that I can tolerate, because y'all apparently in my wife's book have just slightly more taste than I do when it comes to movies. So congratulations. So she watched it for the first time. And it kind of struck her in a lot of the same way, where the sense like watching the movie, there were some things that she really liked about it. She liked and my wife's a psychology major. She's going for a master's degree. And so there's all kinds of like analysis that she wants to do about each one of the characters, and Mad Mardigan and then, the Newland and all of that. But she really fell in love with Warwick Davis's character because he's so convicted without having any power at all. He is like totally convicted about what they're supposed to do, even though he's helpless. He's not a great sorcerer. He's had this promise that he's going to be one. He's got, this sorceress that's supposed to be able to save him, who's yelling at him the entire time while he's turning her into an ostrich. And this incredible swordsman who is trying to take them off course the entire time. But his conviction to do what was told to him, like this is the right thing to do, really, really, really captivated her, and has helped me kind of see it with some new eyes recently, where now I'm no longer like looking at the special effects and trying to figure all of that stuff out, or finding my love for Willow as it was in the Light and Magic docuseries that was just done. But now I'm really back into the story just in time for the series to come out, which was kind of fun for me.
That's cool. So you've watched the first 2 episodes.
I've watched the first one. We got about halfway through the second.
Okay.
And this, we've got a newborn, and he is kind of on his own schedule. So it was about halfway through the second episode when he decided that he had some really important things for us to take care of. and it took us about an hour to figure out that what he really wanted was just to, sit in his little newborn chair. He didn't want to be fed. He didn't want to be bounced. He just wanted to sit in this little chair. And so if he could have just told us that, we'd have saved everybody a lot of heartache.
That's cool. So what's your initial reaction then to the new series? You've got an episode and a half into it. Does it feel like Willow? Does the idea of Sorsha being at odds a bit with Willow? What does that make you feel? It feels to me, and we've talked about this after watching the premiere, that everything fell apart after the movie ended, and we're 20 years into it, and no one is living the happily ever after that you kind of expected on that. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it feels to me like A24 got a hold of Willow. Like that's what it feels like. Like Studio A24 got to be the ones to pick up this storyline. And like some of my favorite, and this is what I say, some of my favorite stories as a kid were like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And when A24 did The Green Knight, like the story got darker. It didn't completely fit, not just like my head canon, but like what was written on the page, and that's sort of what's happened. Like the creatures in Willow got dark. Everybody has it. It's not like the interesting, like everybody went their separate ways in The Force Awakens, where like Luke's on an island and Han is, smuggling again because there's some sort of big thing that broke up the band. This feels like they did exactly what they set out to do. And then they got into a huge fight, and now the darkness is coming back in a way that like even Bav Morda couldn't have manifested it. And that's been I think in the first episode when the Gales actually like show up, that's exactly what I thought is I was like, this looks like an A24 production. Because it's dark, it's broody, and the evil in it is really, really, really evil and nasty looking. But yeah, that was my initial impression, is that this is a much darker version of what in 1988 was sort of a fairy tale that was made for kids. This is no longer that.
Okay. So where do you feel like the story goes from here? Because now, at least you're aware of this at this point in the story, Alora has been rediscovered
right
at this point. Where do you think things go? Are they any speculation sure to go wrong on this?
Dude, I've got a ton of speculation sure to go wrong with all of this, which is why I'm going to say what has to happen is somewhere along the lines, because we did see him in Top Gun, somewhere along the lines, we find a Mad Mardigan that has some kind of role. He's going to have to convince Borman that this is a task worth taking. I don't know how exactly they're going to do that. I know, what's the name of the guy that does Obi-Wan's voice on the Clone Wars?
James Arnold Taylor.
Okay, so James Arnold Taylor, if you're not familiar with his work, he does a ton of not just voice work for cartoons and stuff, but like in Pirates of the Caribbean, or Caribbean, however you want to say it, in those movies, whenever they had to go back and do voiceovers, he did a lot of Johnny Depp's work. He does work for Ewan McGregor. He does work for Christopher Walken. He does work for all these people. Well, there are rumors sort of in the industry that he's got a really, really great young Val Kilmer. And I would love to hear Val's voice again on screen. But this would be something that he would have to be okay signing off on. I think they did a great job with Top Gun Maverick and how they handled his character. But he would have to be something that they worked out really, really well with. But I think we have some kind of interaction with him and with Borman, and it works out in such a way that now he's on screen and he is kind of the cog that sort of brings everybody back together. Is now you've got, Jade and Eric are now they're with their dad. Willow's there. Borman is sort of the person that's filled this Mad Mardigan role, and he kind of brings everybody together, and that is going to be the final piece that brings Sorsha in so that they can once and for all defeat the evil, which I think Bav Morda is going to be our big bad at the end. Mm-hmm. Those are my predictions sure to go wrong because it's outlandish. And it's
It is
never gonna happen.
outlandish. That's awesome. I will tell you that one of the people we saw on the red carpet or the green carpet when we were there on Tuesday night was Christian Slater. And Christian Slater is cast in this. They have not announced his name. We don't know who he's playing, but the interviews have tied him to Madmartigan in a really significant way, where that was the character that they were bringing in to really replace Madmartigan since they couldn't bring him in on this. Any crazy speculation as to, are they going to try to recast Madmartigan? Are they bringing in a brother or something like that? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, a brother would make sense if they were going to do that. I also think that if you bring in Christian Slater as Madmartigan, that you're kind of wiping some stuff out of the potential of the character there, because he's not the right age. He doesn't really fit into a lot of those things. However, anybody that we throw on screen, as we've seen with every soap opera my grandma watched, that as soon as something comes up, they're like, oh, the part of Stefano is now going to be played by this person. You're like, oh, great, Days of Our Lives is switching again. So we could accept it, and I think it'd be fine. I think it's more dynamic if they bring in Christian Slater as like the last guy that saw Madmartigan. Like Madmartigan, he ran away from his family, but it was because this was his like brother in arms somewhere along the line. He had to go save him. He helped him out, and he perished during that time. And so this was the last guy to see Madmartigan. He was the mission that he went on in order to, sort of Madmartigan's redemption arc, like we see, is kind of being given to Boorman as he's paying off that last debt. I think that's a more dynamic way to bring him in. And again, if that's what happens, now he's got the opportunity to tell, Kit and Eric. He's got the opportunity to tell them, like, I'm sorry, your dad died saving me, but he talked a lot about y'all, and now he's got that opportunity to kind of heal some of that. And again, the chance to bring it together. Maybe there's a connection between him and Sorsha. And Sorsha's like, oh my, well, I didn't know he was going after you. Like, why didn't he tell me? And that kind of thing to really bring in a redemption arc. Again, I think whoever it is that's got the Madmartigan connection is going to be the catalyst that allows them to really overcome and defeat all the evil that's out there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know you have to run.
Yes.
So I want to let everybody know, Lucas is a friend of ours. We appreciate him, and he was, been a big part of the Tatooine Sons family for a couple of years now, but he didn't dress up in a tie and vest just for our benefit for this. You've got something else going on right now. You're a pastor of a church, and you've got something fun happening. Tell everybody what's going on there.
Yeah. Well, so I'm dressed up because right before I came on here, I did a wedding. So I did a wedding, and now I'm doing this, and then I'm about to go MC a comedy show. Some of our friends from Dry Bar Comics are coming in to do a free comedy show at our church as like a community appreciation thing. Brandon Young's going to be headlining, and so I'm going to go MC that. And I think what I'll actually end up doing is maybe just throwing on a hoodie, and so it'll be a hoodie on top of the tie and all that stuff. So I'll look a little bit more comfortable, but be as uncomfortable as possible. But that's that's the nature of show business. So
long as it's a Star Wars hoodie.
That's exactly right. Yep, a big one with Grogu on the front of it. Hey,
there we go.
From Danley and I, congratulations on 5 years. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you all for the investment that you have made in two old guys but very young podcasters with our show. You have all been on the show. You've all been incredible guests. You've shown us a lot of grace. You've rolled with some really dumb jokes that we've tried to pull on all of you. But you've been great friends and encouragements. We wish you the best. We're praying for you as you continue to go on, and your success is not only well earned but well deserved. It couldn't happen to a better group of guys, and so we're so thankful for your friendship. So excited for you guys, and can't wait to see what happens in the next 5 years.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
And
congratulations on the birth of Levi. I have the distinct honor of having known Levi's name before anybody other than Lucas and his wife, because I got that phone call. So that was a cool little secret that I got with that. And I can't wait to meet Levi Tuesday evening when we get to have dinner when I'm in Dallas. Have a great evening. Thank you so much, Lucas.
You too. Thanks for having us on, guys, and congrats.
All right. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Later.
All right. Okay, we're working on some of this technical stuff here. You can see both of them now. They can both hear.
For now.
I just need to know if we're getting a lot of echo on your end, because we're getting it on our end like crazy, right?
Yes.
Okay. As long as I'm gonna accept Ricky's request to join the stage. We're bringing up 3 people here. We're gonna bring up Ricky Pope, and then I'm gonna find a couple of others on here. Let's see. I'm looking for. We got Ricky, and then who else do I need to be bringing up here? I need to be bringing up Adam. I'm going to bring him up on stage, and let's see. The last person was going to be Josh. I said Josh in here. Let me find Josh. There he is. Bringing up everybody on stage. Inviting you guys to video. Looks like we got Adam. What's up, Adam? How you doing, my friend?
I am doing well. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you great. Can you hear us good?
Excellent. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. I'm going to make sure we get Ricky up here and Josh up here again. We are going to have we're going to do an amazing round of, hey, there's Ricky. Of Is It Canon? Now, for those of you that may be new to the show, Is It Canon is a fun little bit that we do in every episode of Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. And the reason that we include this is because we have an affection for canon things in the new Disney era with Turbis support. So the way that this bit works, and I'm going to, as I'm bringing everybody up here, there we go. The way this works is we describe something from Star Wars. It could be canon or it could be legends. And you guys will give a description of it. And then you guys get to make the argument for whether or not it is canon or it is legends. And the person that's going to run this segment is going to be Sam. So we're going to let Sam take over. I'm going to turn this so that you guys can see everything a little bit better. Give us a second.
Maybe.
It'll work. It'll promise. It's working. We're getting closer. With that. All right. We got Adam. We've got Ricky. And I'm trying to get Josh up here. Adam, while I've got you here, tell everybody a little bit about what your day-to-day life is like right now.
Well, my day-to-day life is I am a producer-director for Vanity Fair and Condé Nast. It is a very dumb job. I get to interview celebrities for a living. Most recently, I'm a little director of this little indie film called Glass Onion named Ryan Johnson. I apologize for not bringing up Turbis, but I thought about it very loudly.
You should have.
He is I should have. Trust me, there's other conversations that I had to have with him while he was there. So that's my day job. It's like I said, it's a really cool day job. And on the side, I'm a writer and producer. I have a few novels out.
The Green Llama.
The Green Llama is there's a audio drama out right now. I'm working on the 3rd novel as we speak. Well, not as we speak because my hands are right here and I'm not that good of a writer. And I can't do it through my brain. And there's some other cool stuff that's coming around. But yeah, that's me.
That's awesome. And then I'm going to just step in here because I want to make sure I welcome the rest of our guys to this. So Ricky, the Christian Nerds Unite, the Christian nerd pastor on Twitter. Tell everybody a little bit about you and the different nerd things that you got going on.
All right. Well, I'll give you quick. My day job is caring for my loving wife who recently had a heart transplant. But I do a ton of things on the side. I've done video stuff for years and years. I'm currently the host of the Christian Nerds Unite podcast. And one of the other things I do is I work with, because I do a lot of Christian stuff, I work with missionaries around the world, helping find seekers digitally online.
That's awesome. That's so cool. All right. Love you, Ricky. Super excited to hear about Marie and how she's continuing to recover. I know that's been a journey for a number of years, and that heart transplant was an answer from God. And we've been praying for that for her and for her recovery, and for you too, because you've been going through some health things over the past few weeks, few months as well. And then we've got Josh Sala. Tell everybody a little bit about you and the fun stuff that you get to do.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure. What's up, everybody? So I'm Josh. I host for Marvel Entertainment. So I do a lot of the red carpet premieres. I host my own show called Marvel Let's Play. So when a video game comes out, we interview the developers and the people behind it. I do Comic-Cons and other stuff with them. I also host for Amazon and a bunch of other different companies like Adorama doing tech, gaming, and all that fun entertainment stuff.
That's so cool. Love that.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
So Josh, does that make us
Is it
rivals?
canon? And go for it, Sam.
All right.
No,
so
not
is it canon? As Dad mentioned before, I'm going to read a description and name of something. We found it off Wikipedia, and you have to guess whether you think it is canon or Legends. And all you've got to go off of is this brief little paragraph description. And then once everybody's cast their votes, I'll explain where it comes from and if it's canon or not. So this first one, and Dad gave me some doozies because these are some Star Wars names. I'll tell you that. This first one is Ronan Tag, I'm going to guess. Ronan Tag was a human male member of the House of Tag, a powerful family of the Galactic Empire. The nephew of Domina Tag, he often received anything he wanted. Tag liked to collect rare artifacts or artworks solely to destroy them. Tag badly wanted to possess the legendary rings of Vol and hired mercenaries to capture the rings for him. All right, is it canon or Legends?
And you got to pick on somebody to go
for me,
first.
please? Can you spell
We'll go
tag?
with Josh first.
Can you spell tag?
Yeah, Tagge.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Right. Spelling bee.
Well, okay, so the way you were reading the names makes me think that it's not a part of Star Wars, canon but I'm gonna say because of that last name, it sounds pretty familiar. I'm gonna be terrible at this. I'm gonna say canon.
Okay. All right. Ricky.
Well, you started saying rings, awfully interesting part, and it made me suddenly think of Lord of the Rings lore, which was a little strange, which made me think, I'm not sure if this is canon or not.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with Legends.
Okay. We got a split decision here. All right. Adam, you're the tiebreaker. Is it canon or Legends?
I'm going to go Legends. Some context clues, at least for me, and I could be completely wrong, but basically, to Ricky's point, the rings doesn't sound like something canon would do. But honestly, it's the Coruscant imperial families. That's not something we see in canon these days. That's something very, very Legends. And like aunts and uncles, it sounds like out of Legends.
Okay.
I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, then I'll leave it.
Interesting. All right, so we've got Josh for canon and Ricky and Adam for Legends. So I'll just go ahead and reveal it. It is actually canon. It is from Dr. Afra, number 1. Rogue.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
That's the only one I'm gonna get. Get.
The explanation for it is rogue archaeologist Dr. Sele Afra, who had also attempted to capture the Rings of Vol, destroyed Ronan's penthouse, nearly killing him in the process. After the near death of her nephew, Domina Tag placed a bounty on Afra. The archaeologist was captured by sniper Just Lucky and bounty hunter Carrick and delivered to Domina, who ordered Afra to infiltrate that's a big word. Deruid Industries. Man, Star Wars just is notorious for ridiculously complicated words. All right, so we have Josh with 1 point up so far.
Josh, the Marvel guy.
Right. You, come on, guys. Y'all got to do better.
So bad at Star Wars knowledge.
It's Marvel Comics, so you really...
This is a Star Wars podcast, right? Great.
A comic.
Yeah.
So
yeah. All right, we'll do a few more and we'll see if we can change the scores a bit. All right, first this is Jasko. Jasko was a male individual who attended the Arcanus Academy on the planet Arcanus. As a cadet in this academy, Jasko was a candidate to become an officer in the Imperial military. Jasko, however, washed out of the academy. He harbored a dislike for the academy's overseer. He enjoyed making life difficult for him by opening a business known as Jasko's in the Scaparis port, a small port town located only a couple of clicks from the academy. There, he charged a steep price for private, unmonitored comm booth services and was also known as the only individual in the port capable of making a decent cup of calf. Is it canon or legends? We'll switch it up a bit. We'll go backwards. Adam, canon or legends?
I'm gonna go legends. I think because calf hasn't really been used in canon that much until recently. So yeah.
Okay. I like it. All right, Ricky.
This one just seems so weird. I feel like it's one of those little bit things that they've shoved in that, like, only the hardcore nerds would really know. I think I'm going to go with canon on this one.
Okay.
Watch these all be canon. When you said Arcanus, it made me think of Dune almost. It just seems too coincidental that someone can just open up a store near the port like that. I feel like it'd be way difficult. So I'm gonna go with legend.
Okay. All right, so we've got.
Hold on, I want to reveal this one because I know Adam knows this guy. This is canon. This is from Servants of the Empire, The Secret Academy by Jason Fry. And it's the fourth and final junior novel in the Servants of the Empire series, released October 6, 202015. Had to throw in a Rebels.
I haven't read that. Yeah.
So that's Rebels era stuff.
Oh, yeah, you have to. No, it's not like Jason and I hang out all the time.
No, I know that.
Of course, you have to use a Rebels reference.
Very fun.
All the time.
All right, we got a few more, so we'll run through these. Manaroo.
It's gonna be all. I think Josh is right. They're all canon.
They're all canon.
Like Turbis.
Oh, got
it. So we got Manaroo. Manaroo was an Arusian female from the planet Arusa. Her father was Abano. Manaroo was to undergo imperial processing on her homeworld under the Empire's redesign operation. Under Compnor, the process would remove all kindness from her being, effectively making her a vicious servant of the imperial doctrine. It would be similar to the process undergone by the bounty hunter Dengar. Manaroo was rescued by Dengar, who killed Cynic Krithkeen, the Compnor overseer of Arusa. She made her way to Cloud City on Bespin to become a dancer. Is Manaroo canon or legends? Josh, again.
There's no way there could be 3 canons in a row unless you're doing that to really mess with our minds. So I'm gonna go with legends on this one just because of probability.
Okay. All right, Ricky.
I'm leaning on legends on this one just because there's just too many little steps on this one. It doesn't seem like something that would be canon right now.
Okay. All right. Adam?
I'm going to also go legends because apparently that's all I'm going to answer. But mostly because the Dengar of it all. I think, again, it's I don't think they've really done a lot with Dengar. And it sounds like a story from the Tales of Jabba's Palace or the Tales of the Bounty Hunters book or something, one of those Tales of books that came out when I was younger than you.
Adam's 0-2. Can I change my answer? Because I don't think he's right. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so we have a unanimous decision on legends for Manaroo. All right, well, y'all would all be correct. It is legends. It is from Payback, The Tale of Dengar. Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Payback, The Tale of Dengar is a short story written by Dave Wolverton and featured in the Tales of the Bounty Hunters, which was published in December 96 by Bantam Spectra. As the title suggests, it concerns the backstory of the bounty hunter Dengar.
But she's also canon. There's a canon version of her. The description we gave you was the Legends version, so it was a trick question. So
that's kind of cheating. I didn't even know.
That's kind of cheating.
Didn't even.
But y'all got it right anyway. All right. I think we've got 2 more, so we'll run through these real quick. All right. This one was interesting. Nathan and I'm glad Dad didn't do this for the podcast because Nathan and I would have gotten this in a heartbeat. This one is Dorwin Corvax, also known as the Black Bishop. He was a human male individual who was the husband of Lady Corvax. At some point, he fell in battle, and Lady Corvax attempted to use the bright star to bring him back to life, but instead turned Mustafar into a hellish wasteland, leaving her husband caught between the real world and what came after. Due to this situation, Lord Corvax had the ability to both suspend time and teleport. At some point during the Imperial era, he helped Darth Vader in his quest to bring Padme Amidala back to life. Though his true intentions were to retrieve the Bright Star from Vader and return it to the native Mustafarians, freeing himself from the curse. Ricky, is it canon or Legends?
I really feel like this is old, but I'm going to go with canon because there's been a lot of Darth Vader backstory canon stuff over the last few years. There's too many canon things in there for me to not say it's canon. So I'm going to go with canon.
Okay. Adam?
I believe that's canon because it's not only from Vader Immortal, but it's also from the Darth Vader comic book, which was very, very controversial because it implied that Anakin was created by that Palpatine created Anakin. So yeah.
Wow, he's like dropping titles in there. He's that confident. All right.
I knew Adam would come through with one of those moments in this.
I got chosen about the other two, so I got 2 for 2 on
No pressure,
those.
Josh.
I'm feeling better about my decision now.
It's so funny because I same thing with Adam. The only Star Wars things I've read are the Marvel comics, and I'm like, wait a second, that sounds very, very familiar. So I have to go with canon on that.
All right. Well, y'all would all be correct. It is from Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series, Episode 1, and also the Darth Vader comics by Charles Soule. Some of our favorites, actually. I love that series. But Star Wars Vader Immortal, Episode 1 is a canon virtual reality video game. It is set after the events of Star Wars Secret of the Empire and the first installment of Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series. The game was developed by ILM X Lab and launched on May 21st, 2019 for the Oculus Quest. That was a large reason of why we got the Quest, was we heard this thing was coming out. So that was fun. All right. Last, is it canon? The Traveler. The Traveler, nicknamed Fox and formerly known as Idzuna, was a Force sensitive who lived in the time following the Sith Rebellion. A musician and storyteller, the Traveler concealed their face with a white vulpine mask. Adam, is it canon or Legends?
That's it? That's all we're going to get?
That's it.
That's all we're going to get, huh? A Traveler after the Sith Rebellion, which implies that it's thousands of years before, and we haven't really, and that's the Knights of the Old Republic. I'm going to go Legends, though there might be like a question if it's like in the video game, because that's kind of squirrely right now. I'm going to go Legends.
All right. Ricky, canon or Legends?
So I'm leaning Legends on this one, just because, like, the vulpine mask makes me go, where did werewolves show up in Star Wars? And I have this picture of, we're talking about a bard, which sounds like Dungeons and Dragons. I really feel like this one's a Legends deal.
Yeah.
I would also lean toward Legends, but if I say Legends, Ricky and I tie, if we're correct. So we can't have ties. So just for the sake of competition, I will choose canon.
All right. Well, it is actually non-canon, not technically Legends, but it is non-canon. It is from Ronin, a Visions novel. It is a novel written by Emma Mieko Candon.
Right.
Based off of the Star Wars Visions short film, The Duel. The novel was published by Del Rey on October 12, 2021. The story is set in a reimagined galaxy that draws inspiration from Japanese culture, storytelling, and lore to create an alternate history of the Jedi and the Sith. So I kind of lost count. Who was the victor in the end of all that?
Ricky.
Am I?
Ricky! We don't have a prize.
And
Thank you.
And as the winner, Ricky, we're going to kick you off the show because the next segment includes Adam and Josh. We're going to bring up Steven for this, and we're going to continue with this. But Ricky, tell everybody a little bit about your podcast. Make sure that everybody that's tuning in knows about that.
Great. Christian Nerds Unite podcast. We interview all sorts of people, and we focus on where nerd culture and geek culture and faith meet. And we love to talk about all things nerdy. We talk a lot about Star Wars and Marvel and DC and Star Trek and whatever we can come up with. But it's a lot of fun. You can find all of our info at ChristianNerdsUnite.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. But we would love to have you join us. The podcast is released every Tuesday, and you can find us on all of the podcasting places. So, David, congrats on 5 years. I love what you guys do. You guys are amazing. Thanks for having me. And I feel a little jilted that I'm getting kicked out, but at the same time, I actually have to hop on another recording here in about 5 minutes. So this is kind of perfect.
He's like, I'm wanted. I'm a wanted man.
He's out of here. He's just too busy. So yeah, we're gonna boot you. And then we're going to move on with the rest of our show here. So let me go ahead and get that out of here, Ricky. That's not Ricky I'm booting here. Ricky, you're gone. Bye-bye.
It's out of love, though.
Remove from stage. That's good. And now I'm looking for Stephen Kent, and I can't see him in the chat down here. So thank you, Sam. You can have a seat. I'll keep going here. But I don't see Stephen on here. So... there we go. All right. Well, I'm going to bring up somebody else then because he's been itching to be a part of the show. And so we're going to invite my buddy Cal. He's listed as Cal Rissian. We're going to bring him up onto the stage. Cal goes to church with us, and he knew about the Tatooine Sons podcast for about a year before he actually listened to an episode. And which was really frustrating because he's a major Star Wars fan, which means he really didn't think that we knew what we were going to be talking about or that we were legitimate. But we definitely got to bring him. He got the chance to listen. And at that point, he was hooked. So welcome to the stage, Cal. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your Star Wars fandom.
I've been a fan ever since it came out was 86.
77. So you're not a fan. You don't even know what year it comes out, Cal. Come on, man.
The original Star Wars was 77.
77.
Well, I think I quit going to the theaters watching it in 86. I know I watched it. I went to the theaters at least 10 times for the first Star Wars. And from that moment, that was the epitome of special effects. George Lucas and his team had come up with something that has just boggled the mind and had created a culture that is, well, look at me. I'm 52 years old, and I'm right here, and I'm listening to your podcast, and I dig it, man. I mean, it still awesome. Flows in me.
Good to have you here, Cal. I know I'm excited to have you on here and talk about this. We're going to spend a few minutes now talking about the last 5 years. So when we started this podcast, December 2nd, 2017, we were 15 days, or 14 days, I think, from the release of Star Wars The Last Jedi. And everyone was very excited about The Last Jedi in the build up to it, in the preparation for its release. And then the red carpet premiere happened, and it was an amazing experience for us because we were starting to follow lots of Star Wars podcasts. And I saw some of the podcasts that we were listening to on the red carpet because they were streaming that live. And so we were super excited to see some of those and thinking there'd be no way we'd ever get to experience anything like that. And we got to do something similar this week. So it's been pretty cool. It's a full circle moment for us. For sure.
Yeah, I was so jelly when you posted that y'all were going to see Willow, man. I was like, okay. It
was awesome. So, but a lot has transpired. When the initial release came out and the critics' reviews came out for The Last Jedi, it was one of the highest rated
critically films in Star Wars history. And then the bottom fell out with a lot of the fan reaction and those types of things. And it's been a wild, bumpy, up and down 5 years. I know a bit about where Adam is on The Last Jedi and things, but I want to get some feedback from both of you guys, from Josh and from Gal. What is your opinion on The Last Jedi? I'll start with you, Cal.
Oh man, it brought back it brought back the original feelings, that was with the Force, and even though Luke had gone into isolation, I just felt like that Raya, she captured that again, that I don't know what I've got kind of feel, and I felt like that it brought back some fans as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, that's awesome. What about you, Josh? What's your thoughts? I don't think we've ever really talked about The Last Jedi. What are your thoughts on this masterpiece of a Star Wars film?
What a question! What a lead into a question. Well, I will say these Star Wars movies were the most divisive Star Wars movies that have ever come out. You really had two different camps of people that thought it was some of the greatest Star Wars movies they've ever seen in their lives, and the other camp of saying it was disjointed, this change in direction, and the scripts were very kind of jumbled together. For me personally, speaking as someone who is not into the Star Wars lore as much as other viewers or listeners of this right now, I was on the end of thinking it could have been better. I thought they left a lot of important characters on the side of the road, Finn being one of them. I thought there was a huge buildup in the first film of this new trilogy that kind of got left to the side. And one thing I did love, though, that I thought was really respectful is, and I really thought this was actually courageous of Rian to do, was that it doesn't matter who you are, and that they made Rey nobody. Like there was no lineage, no parentage. They didn't connect her to a Skywalker or something else, which I really loved and respected that. I really enjoyed that element of it. Now I'm curious, because I know there was a rumor years ago that Rian was going to do a new trilogy. I think he deserves his own trilogy, and I think that because there was a difference of direction or director, you really saw two different forms of creativity clash. And I think it would have been better if one of them had their entire trilogy to themselves.
Yeah, and that's not a rumor. You can still go to StarWars.com, and the official announcement that Rian Johnson is doing a trilogy is still active on that site, and he's asked about it all the time. Maybe even Adam asked him recently. No, he probably didn't, because that's not the way Adam is.
No, I mean, no. No, please.
Go ahead, Adam. Tell us about your experience meeting with Rian this past week and talking about Glass Onion, and then kind of give your opinion as to why you feel The Last Jedi has been such a controversial movie.
I mean, look, when it comes to working with Rian Johnson, when I joined Condé Nast, one of the things I wanted to do was this very specific series called Notes on a Scene, which is the scene where they have the director or stars describing how a scene is done, how they put together the scene. And the one I've always wanted to do is Rian Johnson, because I loved The Last Jedi. I loved Knives Out. But he's a really, really well-spoken and informative director. And the best thing about that series is basically you get to have, I'm literally paid for 45 minutes to an hour to sit there and get my own personal masterclass in cinema, in filmmaking. And so being able to sit there and break down a very specific scene from Glass Onion and learn about the thinking behind it, the blocking was amazing. Talking about Agatha Christie and his inspirations and the thinking behind this movie was great. And then getting to say to him, that The Last Jedi, for me personally, was kind of a game changer. It really reshaped how I viewed Star Wars in a very positive way, because as we saw in the last sort of block, I read a lot of the Legends novels growing up. Like, I loved seeing Luke be this all-power hero. And when I went into The Last Jedi, I think it took all the stuff that The Force Awakens set up and gave answers that you just weren't necessarily expecting, but felt more honest than I think the fans really wanted. You know, it sets up Luke's abandoned the galaxy, and he abandoned the galaxy because he failed himself and made him this very like interesting broken character, and having to like, not only is he a human, he has to realize that he has the importance of the legend, like that's like his arc in the story. So why is it divisive? Because I think it did exactly what Empire Strikes Back did, sort of the Cal's point. It's, you know, you go into The Empire Strikes Back and it's, you know, you just saw Star Wars, you saw A New Hope, you know exactly what to expect, and then instantly the movie kind of inverts all your preconceived notions, and the characters' preconceived notions of the story they're in, it gets changed. Luke goes into the movie understanding that he is the hero. He leaves the movie understanding that he is the son of the villain. His whole relationship to the entire universe has changed, and that is what Ryan did with The Last Jedi, where you go in, Snoke is this big bad guy, Luke left the galaxy, Rey is this really important person, and then you leave it where everything, both the characters and the audience, have a new understanding of the story in the Star Wars galaxy. And that's, you know, especially when you have decades worth of novels, decades worth of fanon and fan theories, can be disappointing to some. For me, it made me realize, like, these characters can be human, these characters can be flawed, and it made me fall in love with Star Wars again. And I love The Force Awakens, but I was like, oh, this I understand Star Wars in a new way.
Awesome. So I know that The Last Jedi has been one of again, Adam, it's one of your favorite Star Wars films and stories of all time. You put it right up there with Empire Strikes Back. We've talked about that for years. Outside of that, in the last 5 years, we've had so many different releases, be it animation with like season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. We've had Solo. We've had Star Wars Resistance, another animated, Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, The Bad Batch, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, and Tales of the Jedi. That's a lot of Star Wars in 5 years. Outside of The Last Jedi, what's been your favorite piece of Star Wars in the last 5 years?
What just happened?
Right now, it's kind of Andor and the High Republic. You know, it's going backwards, just like with the High Republic. It is such an interesting era of Star Wars. It's far enough away from everything that we know and understand about Star Wars, but familiar at the same time. We actually get to see the Jedi at their height in a way that we didn't really get to see in the Knights of the Old Republic and other various things. It's a really cool era. It's just a really exciting era, and it feels like it expands the galaxy. And then Andor is just easily some of the best TV I've seen this year. It's just so brilliantly written, and it takes everything you know about Star Wars and just makes it realer. You know, I could literally spend the rest of the podcast just talking about why Andor is the best Star Wars, but I will hand it off to Josh and Cal to talk a little bit about what they've been thinking about the last 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, what's been your favorite thing in Star Wars since December of 2017 when The Last Jedi came out?
I gotta say, I have to 100% agree with Adam. Andor is one of the greatest TV shows in the Star Wars universe to ever come out. I still have 2 episodes left because I don't want it to end. And I know.
Oh no! Oh my god!
I've been taking it real slow.
You're such a ride.
You have no idea what to say. We could ruin your life right now.
I'm not going to tell you anything.
Well, it overshadows me and not knowing when Star Wars originally came out. Thank you, Josh, for that, for misdirecting. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Cal's just old. He can't remember what he had for breakfast this morning. So, Josh, you haven't watched the last 2 episodes of Andor. So, yeah, so continue on that. Sorry about that. We got a little thrown off.
Yeah, so Andor was some of the greatest television, especially in the Star Wars universe. Exactly what Adam said, your world building, and that's what Star Wars, I think, is great at its peak. When you're world building these new planets or these new worlds or these new races, and you get those in the books and you get those in other TV shows, but you don't really get that in the big movies. And so having Star Wars now on Disney Plus with Mandalorian, with Boba Fett, with all of these shows that are just coming out, you get so much better lore that you can visually see rather than going to get a book and reading it. My favorite, actually, Star Wars in the last 5 years might not be a lot of everyone else's, unless you're a gamer like me. Star Wars Squadrons in VR is some of the greatest. You can literally fly a ship in VR, and it's absolutely insane. And it's
Sam,
yeah, there we go.
No. I wanted to chime in. Nobody gives that game enough love, and it was one of the best games that's come out for Star Wars in a long time. So I just wanted to chime in.
So I'm a gamer through and through, and gaming is my favorite. And Star Wars gaming is that's my bread and butter right there. So Squadrons doesn't get enough love. Multiplayer, live in a ship in VR. Jedi Fallen Order was incredible, and they're making a sequel, which I can't wait. And I grew up with Jedi Academy and Jedi.
There we go.
Outcast. Those were some incredible games I used to play as a kid, and they remastered them just recently. So I mean, now's the perfect time to be a Star Wars gamer because you're getting so much content outside of the movies, TV shows, and books.
That's awesome. What about you, Cal? In the last 5 years, what's been your favorite piece of Star Wars to be released?
Well, right now it's got to be Andor. I mean, it's it's not a whole pizza; it's just cheesy bread. But I tell you what,
see that right there proves that Cal listens to the
basis
podcast.
Of Star Wars. It's the basis of you've got to have that cheesy bread to have a pizza, right? So look what it molded itself into. This is a 2-topping, double deluxe stuffed crust pizza that is built right there. I mean, that
what
is
size?
the
Large?
foundation
Large? What size?
of Star Wars. Yeah, a triple chacaroni. I don't mean to plug that, but I mean it's up there. It's huge. And
this is a podcast brought to you by Papa John's. All right.
Better ingredients, better Star Wars.
That's so funny.
Tatooine.
That's right. It's funny because we were talking about that, and the context for everybody that's listening that has no idea what Cal was just talking about was the conversation that we had on our last episode of the podcast. How Andor doesn't include some of the elements that Star Wars is known for. Jedi, the Force, Darth Vader, the Emperor really isn't a part of it. If you don't have an Empire and TIE fighters and understanding those characters or those ideas are part of Star Wars, and you watch this, it may not feel like Star Wars for a lot of people. So I'm curious, Josh, what do you think? Is it possible for Andor to be the best live action Star Wars series to ever be released and not include those elements that are so integral to what we think of when we think of Star Wars?
You baited him real well.
I think that's exactly why it's some of the best Star Wars shows out there, in my opinion, because you don't have to go into Jedis, you don't have to go into Darth Vader and all those main characters that people know that have been done, not enough. I mean, obviously, I'd love to see more of those characters, but here's a show based on spies, espionage, thriller, keeping that tension so high on the edge of your seat. You have no idea who's going to live. You have no idea what's going to happen. And if you put that DNA into a Star Wars show, then you have nothing but success, because it's not then about Jedis and powers, because then who cares about spies if you have a Jedi who can pretty much do anything you want? Now it's really about the characters who have no powers and how they survive in a world with an empire that can do anything they want.
If you didn't have a
What
rebellion,
about you, Adam? Can you have Star Wars? I know your opinion, but I want you to explain it. Can Andor be the best live action Star Wars series without those elements that are so familiar to us?
Yeah, well, jumping off of what Josh says, it's like it does also just sort of show how expansive the world actually is.
Tremendous, yeah.
It leans so heavy.
Last question, and then we're gonna let you guys run and bring on some additional guests up to the stage for some Star Wars trivia.
Yeah.
How does Star Wars fan community heal itself so that it can come forward into the future after 5 years of such vitriol and division and those types of things? I'll start with you, Cal.
Well, I think they're going to have to grow. I mean, as the whole universe, as big as the universe, Star Wars universe is, with the legends and the canon and everything that's going on in that universe, it's got to grow. So the fans have got to grow with it as well. That's the way I see it. I've grown with it. You know, everybody's calling him Baby Yoda, but Grogu. I mean, that alone right there, they're going, it can't be Grogu. It's Baby Yoda. Look, okay, it's another Yoda. It's like a Yoda. It's
whatever that species is.
Like so right. I mean, it is as the universe grows. You have to grow with it. You can't become sediment, or you're gonna have these fans that are not going to evolve with the Star Wars.
Sure. Now, Josh, you spend a lot of your time in the Marvel space because of the work that you do with that. Marvel doesn't have some of the same division that's in the Star Wars community. What advice would you give to the Star Wars community as someone who is obviously a massive Star Wars fan as well?
Yeah, I think with any medium that we have now, there's been a lot of animosity and a lot of aggression online and offline. You've seen actors getting hate mail, DMs, messages, just harassment all around. Even when Last Jedi came out, Rian Johnson got so much hate for it. And no matter what side of the movie you are, where you think it's a great film or not, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves any kind of hate or harassment, no matter what. And humanity as a whole, I think social media is the cause of this, allowing anonymous people to remain anonymous and say whatever the heck they want. And I'm sure, I've gotten it as a host. I'm sure y'all have gotten it in the work you've done, where people will just say whatever they want. And you really go home thinking, man, that was really hurtful. Like, what is it? Why did someone say that? So I think we really need to look inward into ourselves and realize, wait a second, what am I typing out and why am I typing that out? Does it cause harm? Is it an actual criticism that could be helpful, like feedback, or is it just plain on aggressiveness that will just cause someone to cry in a corner when they go to sleep at night? So I think a lot of people have lost empathy, especially with COVID and the pandemic. A lot of people have lost a lot of things, myself included. And we really need to get that empathy back and realize that even if it's a movie you don't like, people put a lot of work into it, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and money. And it's okay if you don't like it, but you don't have to make everyone else not like it. You don't have to hate it so much that you make someone hurt their feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, in December of 2018, a Twitter thread about Luke Skywalker's character in The Last Jedi kind of took on a life of its own. Yeah. You got to commenting on it and interacting with some people. Ryan commented on one of your tweets, and the next thing you know, the AV Club listed that as the number 2 worst thing to happen on the internet, or an example of that for that year. With that,
I did not bring that up with him. I mentioned when I saw him. I mentioned, like, you've always been so nice to me on Twitter, and I'm like Lord knows if he could connect the dots, but yeah, I
didn't make a big deal out of that.
I made a bigger deal of just being like, you get to meet your heroes in this, as Josh knows, in this dumb career that we have. It's like you get to meet your heroes, and it is. You don't think about everything. You just like, what's the most important thing I can say to them at this moment? But there's also like, I have a job to do. I need to make sure that we're getting what we needed for this video that's going to be due in like a week. And so I didn't get to bring that up. But to your question though about how do we move forward, as someone who is known as a prequel apologist, who is mocked growing up for liking the prequels,
right?
I think to Josh's point. I think we lost some empathy, but a lot of it comes down to social media. A lot of the things that we are seeing now happened before. It's just amplified. I remember going on the forums and seeing people like just lambasting George Lucas and like, threatening him and burning. I mean, there was a whole episode of Space with Simon Pegg burning his Star Wars action figures. It was there. It's just now it's a lot easier for us to be anonymous and say horrible things and connect to those people directly in a way that we really weren't able to before. I think that in 5 years, 10 years, I think a lot of the kids who grew up loving the sequels will be of age and will be like in their teens and 20s, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be like, "Wow, all the new stuff sucks." You know? it's a cycle, but I think it's just it ebbs and flows.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey guys, thank you so much for being a part of this 5th anniversary celebration and putting up with some of the technical stuff that happened early on in this, and we appreciate that. I'm going to let you guys run. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment, bring some other guys up on stage. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this.
Thank you
for having me, man. Happy 5 years anniversary.
Nate,
Appreciate
Dan,
you guys.
what's up, guys?
Hi.
You're the best. Thank you guys. All right. Let's see. Now I got to kick everybody off stage. So remove from stage. Remove from stage. I'm removing all these people from stage right now. All right. Awesome. I'm going to bring up some new people to the stage, and we're going to continue the conversation here. Man, I'm so excited to have these people a part of this. You can't tell the story of Tatooine Sons without Tim from the Nerd Room, because Tim was part of the Star Wars Commonwealth, which was the first podcast network that we became a part of early on in the time. And so we're going to bring Tim up here on stage. I'm going to bring up my buddy Pete Fletzer from around the galaxy. Pete and I have spent a lot of time talking Star Wars over the last several years. And Pete was the first person to invite one of us to be a guest on a podcast after we started the show. So Pete is here with us. And then, Star Wars Underworld, we had a love-hate relationship with them for a little while because Dominic kind of gave us some grief. Didn't follow through on his commitment to have Sam on the podcast. No, I'm just picking. But Ben Hart is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld. So we're going to invite Ben up on stage and make sure we get him going here. I think I've got Pete and I've got Tim and I'm working on Ben. There we go. We're all up here. What's up, gentlemen? How are you guys?
Awesome. What's going on?
So good to have you guys here. I am going to turn over this segment to the smartest person in Tatooine Sons, who's gone through a lot of changes in 5 years. He was a little kid, too scared to even hardly do an introduction that we scripted when we started this first episode 5 years ago. And now he's done things like interview Michael Uslan, the producer of every Batman movie since 1989. He's grown tremendously. I'm super proud of him. He is going to come in here and do a little bit of Star Wars trivia with you guys. Ben, are you on here?
Looks like he's muted if he is.
I'm going to invite him to video again. You were up here for a second. I'm going to invite him to video. But I'm going to have BB Nate come over here and do some Star Wars trivia with you guys. So everybody, welcome into the show.
He's using your earbuds.
What's going on? They died?
Ours aren't working for some reason. So
Okay.
but we will work with it.
Alrighty. Howdy.
Hello.
Here we go. I can hear stuff.
There we go.
There we
Have
go.
fun.
Alrighty. So some Star Wars trivia. Okay.
I'm about to embarrass myself.
First
here,
of all,
guys.
we're just gonna kind of ask a question, then kind of see what everybody thinks, if they can kind of guess of what the answer is. But let's start off first with the first question. Darth Vader's chest piece has some writing on it. What language is it in, and do you guys happen to know what it translates to? Let's go first with Pete.
I'm glad he went to you, Pete.
I just want to say, first of all, that I am not very good at Star Wars trivia. Although, if you read my Wikipedia entry, it does say that I did write Star Wars trivia questions, but that was back in the 90s, back when there was just 3 movies. And so I have this here. I will answer the question. I'll answer half of it and then guess on the second half. The first half is it's written in Hebrew. And it's something about his deeds are his something. I can't recall, but am I close?
All right.
It's okay. Okay. I'm not going to give anything away, but good guess. Let's go with you next, Tim.
Oh, geez. It's a bit embarrassing. I have no idea. I'm going to say written in Airbash and... Geez, I have no idea what it actually says, to be honest with you. But I will take this opportunity to congratulate you guys on 5 years, 5 incredible years.
Thank you very much. We appreciate
it. Just
unbelievable
watching you guys grow and then shift into the more of a pop culture world too. It's been incredible. So I'll use my my trivia time to congratulate you guys.
Well, thank you. It's been a journey, that's for sure. Ben, do you have any guesses on this?
This is news to me, okay? The fact that there's like this is like, you're blowing my mind. It's like, what? There's writing on the thing. What are you talking about? I'll just guess that it's written in Sith. It's written in the Sith language, maybe.
Okay.
So just so 3PO couldn't read it.
That's a good
All
one,
right.
Ben. I think that.
That's a good one. Yes. All right. So for the answer, I think Pete had the closest. It is written in ancient Hebrew. And it does translate to "his deeds will not be forgiven until he merits." So
See, I do know some stuff. All right, I feel much better about myself. I feel actually, in a way, I kind of feel sad. That's a lot of stuff to know.
That is a lot of stuff to know, but I will give you that point.
Yes.
Pete with 1 point. That was great.
Is Hebrew canon in Star Wars?
It is. I guess I love it.
Good question.
It's canon in Star Wars now.
That's news to me. That's amazing.
Yeah. For the next
So
question,
now there's got to be some connection to Raiders of the Lost Ark with this. You
Of
know,
course.
we've just got some
Of course.
ancient thing happening now. So
all right. So for the next question, this is going to be a bit of a trick question, I guess. Who is the only scruffy-looking nerf herder we've seen in live-action Star Wars? I'll go with you first, Ben.
The only this is a trick one. This is you're trying to. I see what you're doing here. You're tricking. I'm gonna say Han Solo. Okay, I'm gonna go with the obvious answer. Okay.
Okay. All right. You next, Tim. Let's see what you think.
See, that's where I was going to go with the obvious answer here, but Ben's come and scooped it from me. So we're like, scruffy looking nerf herder. Is there a nerf herder somewhere in the Obi-Wan show? I feel like maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna say unidentified individual on Tatooine.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Well, all right. You next, Pete. Let's see what you think.
The only thing I'll say is I think it might have been in one of the live action TV shows, but I don't know for sure. But I will take my time to congratulate you guys on an amazing 5 years.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I think
obviously we decided to make the questions so difficult.
Yeah.
That you guys would
so
only
you
be
can
able to
get
just
praise and
congratulate us
thanks.
for being so
Right,
intelligent.
exactly.
You know, so
But I do honestly, I do want to say one of the highlights of Star Wars Celebration for me was getting the opportunity to hang out dad to dad with David and with my son and your sons and my father. It was a really great experience to hang out with you guys. So congrats on an amazing 5 years. And
Well,
that's
thank
my
you. That was an awesome experience. it was a great time. But let's
Not the
find
right
out
answer.
who was closest on this answer. Let's go. Rennick was a human male who worked as a nerf herder for the Tatooine-based Hutt crime lord Jabba the Hutt. In the year 4 ABY, after the Battle of Yavin, Rennick was present in the audience chamber of Jabba's desert palace when the droids C-3PO and R2-D2 and later Princess Leia Organa arrived there to free their imprisoned Rebel Alliance cohort Han Solo from Jabba's clutches. So I think I'll give that point to Tim.
Yeah,
That's basically what I said.
Identified a Tatooine person. So
It's basically what I
overall,
said. Does this guy
that
have
works.
an action
That was
figure?
close.
Does he have an action figure?
I don't think he has an action figure. No.
Oh, so
I
he's
kind
I
of feel
don't
like
think
we're
so.
playing Is This Canon? I feel like
It feels a little bit like, is it canon? But I think all of these questions are canon.
They are.
in some form. But yeah, so 1 point for Pete, 1 point for Tim. Ben, you gotta start catching up here. So let's
Ben.
see. This one's gonna be a bit
We
interesting.
need a prequels era question for Ben.
for Ben. Yes. Name all the planets that Master Yoda sets foot on in the first 6 canonical films.
Oh man.
Who's first? Let's go with Ben. I'll let him.
Okay, I'll do it. I'm gonna nail this. Okay, it's Coruscant and Naboo, and then Geonosis, and then Kashyyyk, and then Dagobah.
All right. So
Is that
Okay.
okay. All right. Let's go with you next, Tim. Let's see.
I'm trying to think if there's. I think I would have forgot Kashyyyk if Ben hadn't said it, but that's a pretty significant one. I don't think there's any he's missing there in those first 6 films, unless there's like a weird book or something that I've not read. So I don't have any to add to that.
Okay.
So that goes over to Ben.
All right. So Pete, what do you think?
I think Ben hit them all as well. I'm going to defer to Ben and say, good going. I could the one I was able to think of was Geonosis.
Ben, you said he set foot on Naboo. He never set foot on Naboo.
Isn't
he
it?
set foot on Camino, but we never see it. So you got that one wrong.
No, wait,
how dare you? How?
Wasn't he at the very end with the?
He's not there.
He's
I was gonna say Camino, but I'm like, well, we don't see him there.
Oh, wait a second. Didn't Yoda confer upon Obi-Wan the rank of knight in Naboo?
But I think they were on Coruscant then.
Oh, that's right.
No, that's Naboo. That's Naboo. That's Naboo.
Are you sure?
I will fight you for.
I'm gonna have to look up
That's Naboo.
Oh my God! Controversy. Controversy on the Tatooine.
I don't think anybody gets that point.
Wikipedia that. All right, I'm not letting this go.
I don't think anybody gets that point. Just to be honest, all of you have
Either way, I'm wrong.
You all agree with each other. So
I think Pete and I both gave the point to Ben. Did we not?
That's true. You're kind of just like, we're gonna say what he said, but
that sounds right.
Let's go on. We have 2 more. Let's see what happens here. The 2 youngest senators ever to serve in the Galactic Senate / the Imperial Senate were women. Who were they?
Who you can ask?
Let's go with Ben. I'll give him a redemption question.
I'm gonna say Leia Organa and Rio Chuchi.
Okay. All right. Let's go with you next, Pete.
I was gonna say Queen Amidala and Mon Mothma.
Okay. Let's go with you next, Tim.
I was gonna say Amidala and Leia.
Oh, look at this. We
have so we have a split decision. Everybody has a different answer. The 2 were Leia Organa and Mon Mothma.
Oh.
So yeah.
We missed it somehow. We had them all, but we missed it.
Somehow, yes, you all had it, but no one actually got the 2 right.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I don't think that point goes to anybody still, because you all had just part of the answer.
So this is it. We've all got 1 point, right?
We have to. Yes, the 3 of us have to team up against them. Okay, we have to do this. We have to work together.
All of you together. All right. So last question. This is going to be a difficult one. Early story drafts for what would become The Empire Strikes Back would have changed this character into the first clone we saw in the Star Wars films.
Oh.
Who was it? Let's go with you first, Pete.
Oh, no.
Of course.
Lobot.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good answer.
That's a good answer. Good answer. All right. So you next, Tim. Let's see.
That's a really good answer, Lobot. So that's be a new character that was introduced in Empire, I would assume. Let's go crazy. Let's go with Lando.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Good answer. All right. You next, Ben.
I am also going to say Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the answer is
Lando.
Lando Calrissian was originally a refugee from the Clone Wars, one of many sons cloned by their father, like Boba Fett in the prequels. Bespin was also called Kadar's City, but Han still sought out refuge there. Leia is immediately suspicious of Lando, who doesn't confirm her clone suspicions until they walk to dinner where Darth Vader waits for an ambush. So 2 of them got that right. but I think overall Tim won.
I don't know. No, because they were tied.
No, I
weren't
thought
they?
you were tied.
No, yeah, you were tied. So
we're looking up a final
I'm
question
looking for
right
a
now.
tough question, but
Final
it's,
question.
These
Here,
are
I'll
all
find one real
like
quick. All right.
really
Right.
basic questions, like who
Obscure
directed
Star
the. Yeah, it was like
I
who
can
directed
ask
The
a
Force
question from the
Awakens.
game that I was a part of in 1996 with really tough questions like.
But I don't know. Y'all did really good. That was impressive.
I you know what? I
What we
can't.
need is our Star Wars Trivial Pursuit
We
game.
do.
Because there's some tough questions on that.
Oh, that's good. Good job, BB Nate.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's keep going here.
Keep it.
All right. We're going to keep this conversation going. I'm going to leave you guys on stage.
Nice.
I'm going to come back in here and we're going to talk a little bit about the future of Star Wars because we've already talked about the past 5 years with Adam and with Josh and with Cal with that. Cal Rissian, as he listed his name on there. I did not know the thing about Lando having potentially been a clone.
That's awesome.
In the original drafts. I thought that was pretty cool. I want to talk about the future of Star Wars. 2023 is shaping up. 2022 was an amazing Star Wars year with all of the different things that came out. But at the same time, 2023 looks even more intense. We've got The Bad Batch Season 2 coming out in January. We've got The Mandalorian Season 3 coming out on March 1st. Star Wars Visions Volume 2 is coming out sometime this year. We've got the Young Jedi Adventures animated TV series. No one seems to be even talking about that. But that's coming out. It's believed that The Acolyte's coming out in the summer, that Skeleton Crew comes out sometime this year, and that Ahsoka is coming out. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of our podcasting journey, and I'm going to start with Tim from the Nerd Room. What are you most excited to see in 2023?
Is it cliche to say Mandalorian and Ahsoka? Like these are massive shows, and I feel like we're flipping to the Filoni side of the storytelling with this. You know, Favreau's had a couple years. You know, they've of course been jointly telling these stories, but I feel like Favreau's been kind of at the helm, and I feel like we're grading over to tell some of the Filoniverse stuff, and I'm so excited. You know, we've seen the Mando. We saw an episode or two inside of Book of Boba Fett, but I think the thing I'm most excited for is Ahsoka. You know, we had this pause inside of Andor where we got this really unique story being told inside of the Star Wars universe, and maybe not particularly a Star Wars story, but a story in that universe. And now we're going to zoom back to the Force and all this, you know, iconography that we're familiar with, and just tell that story of Ahsoka with the likes of Sabine and potentially Ezra and Thrawn and all these characters from Rebels that I'm just so excited to see in live action. So I'm gonna say Ahsoka is what I'm most excited for this year.
Yeah, Star Wars Rebels fans, that would probably creep up to the top of the list, especially when we got to see that trailer, which have they released that trailer publicly? I think it's still just a Star Wars Celebration trailer at this point. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah.
I saw. I may.
That was right. It was only like 2 weeks into filming.
Yeah. May not have saw it on someone's iPhone. Maybe like.
Yeah, you can get that version, but come on, that's just not as much fun. All right, let's go with you, Ben. What are you most looking forward to in 2023 when it comes to Star Wars?
We've had a huge year this year, and looking next year, and you listing all those things, I was like, wow, okay, there's so much happening. I don't know. I'm really, really hyped, I think, for The Mandalorian Season 3. I think, you know, it's coming the soonest, one of the soonest, so that's thing. But I have so much nostalgia for The Mandalorian. I love that story. I love those characters, the continuation of that. And it's been away for quite some time, if you haven't noticed. I'm not counting Book of Boba Fett, just like that show has been away for several years now. And it's just great things. And I've loved Andor. I love the Book of Boba Fett, but like getting back to essentially where it all started with Star Wars, with this new era of Star Wars TV is great, and seeing where it goes, because I legitimately don't know. I've seen the trailers. Obviously, we had the 2 at Celebration, and we had the new one that was released online, and there's a lot of footage in there, but it still is not giving us anything in regards to what the story's going to be, and what's going on with Grogu, what does the Empire want, and what's Dr. Pershing doing, you know, all this stuff, all these questions that are still out in the open. We haven't even seen Moff Gideon. We know he's in it. It's like so many questions that are left unopened. And just the fact that we have more of those beloved characters. Yeah, bring back the Baby Yoda show.
That's it. Pete, tell us what you're most excited about in 2023.
Even though Ahsoka is on my shirt, and I am a huge Ahsoka fan, and the whole Fulcrum concept, and her and Rex, and those are two of my favorite characters. I'm gonna take sort of a side road and say I'm looking forward to the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, and the reason for that is we and this just sounds like a really bad way to put it, but I think you know what I mean. We know what we're going to get from Mandalorian. We've seen that kind of show before, and I'm so excited that it's coming back. But more than anything, we have no idea what to expect from the Acolyte. It's a Sith-based story that takes place in a time that we've never, ever seen any content. Now, sure, there's High Republic, but we haven't seen this world 100 years before Phantom Menace. And Skeleton Crew, we have no idea what's coming there. And I think that's one of the things that I finally gotten comfortable with is the fact that so many Star Wars, I think everything that has happened since Disney, I've heard that a project is coming out. I heard, Rogue One's coming. Oh, do we need that story? Oh, yeah, we did. That was amazing. Solo? Yeah, do we? Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. That was great. I felt the same way about Kenobi, and honestly, I felt the same way about Mando. So I'm finally at that point where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if I need it, but I'm now at the intrigued part. The Andor show was so amazing because I had no idea what to expect, and it delivered as a result. I think going in without expectations, we talk a lot about people who bash The Last Jedi, which is just such an ignorant approach in many cases because the arguments are ignorant. Not that you have to like the show or the movie, but the arguments generally are not great. But I think the reason I walked out of The Last Jedi thinking it was the best and worst Star Wars movie I'd ever seen before I came around to realize it's one of my favorite stories is I brought expectation with me. And I think that's a challenge for the Mando season is we're all going to walk in thinking what we know what we're going to see, and it's not going to go that direction. And the Acolyte, I'm walking in with zero expectation. Skeleton Crew, no idea what we're going to get there. So I'm just excited about the unknown for Star Wars in 2023.
That's awesome. All right, last question because we're running a little bit behind, and I know Pete, you've got a show. You're getting ready to start here in less than 30 minutes. So I want to make sure that I let you go first, and then we'll go from there. When a prediction, okay? When do we get the next Star Wars film in theaters? I'll start with you, Pete.
To do it right, which seems to be their number one concern, as it should be, by the way, I'm going to say, we're about to start 2023, so I'm going to say Christmas 25.
Wow.
Because I think, unless something's ready to start shooting now, it's going to take some time. And I think Star Wars, we're at a point where I think Star Wars does better at the holidays. So it may be done in March of 25 or May of 25, but I think they hold it till Christmas 25. That's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's tomorrow, but that's where I would put my money right now.
That would be a heck of a shock if they decided to release one instead of Avatar on the 16th of December or something like that. Okay. Because nobody's going to go to Avatar. No, I'm kidding. That's my own opinion. All right, Tim, your prediction. When are we getting our next Star Wars motion picture?
Yeah, I think the Christmas time is probably the best bet. I'm going to say 26 though. I think between Avatar and the amount of effort that they're dropping into Disney Plus, and that being their platform for storytelling, I feel like the concentration on a movie is top priority right now. And I think Pete's right in with the notion that they need to get this next one right, and that Star Wars has to become an event film going experience again.
Yep.
It can't become we'll consume this and then we'll move on to the next, right? They're never going to be the MCU. They're never going to be what hopefully the future DCU is, as far as getting 4 or 5 films a year and us consuming it in the way where it almost becomes disposable. And that's become a little unfortunate about the film going experience with some of these big franchises. And so I think there's enough powder in the keg to to get us out on Disney Plus with Star Wars Storytelling. I think till then might be a bit far. 25 probably feels a bit more right, but I didn't want to give the same answer as Pete. But I think it's gonna I think it's gonna be longer than we are anticipating it to be. Like I think that 25, 26 feels about right.
All right. Now, Ben, you've got your ear to the to all the different things going on with the work that you do, not just with Star Wars Underworld, but all the other things that you guys do in Star Wars media. What's your prediction for when the next live action Star Wars film hits theaters?
Yeah, it's interesting because I sort of agree with you guys. I'm like, it seems like it's still maybe far off, and I'm totally fine with that because I'm loving all the Disney Plus stuff. So I'm not really in a big hurry to get back to the theater, even though I really do want to see another movie. But I'm looking at what's going on with Disney and the fact that they just got a new CEO that may be unhappy with the idea of there hasn't been a Star Wars movie in the theater for quite a few years. He may come in and say, let's do a Star Wars movie in 2024. And I think they may I think all the rumors and stuff we've been hearing over the past from J.D. Dillard to so many others, Patty Jenkins. I'm like, good God, what's happening with Rogue Squadron or that movie? Everyone forgot about that one. But there's so many out there that like I feel like they could easily come in and go like, you go. Here's money, go. Like a Star Wars movie and just do it. They could feasibly, we could get an announcement in the next few months saying, hey, such and such is filming. Because they keep this stuff secret. We don't have to know anything. They could be in pre-production right now. We would never know it. And who knows? So I think realistically, probably 2025, 2026. I think you guys are probably nailing it. But who knows? Maybe sooner rather than later. I think the studio executives are probably getting a little impatient. They like the Disney Plus stuff, but they really want that big bang for their buck with a Star Wars movie coming back into theaters in the next couple years.
That's good. Yeah. I love how you can all give the same answer and it sounds different. That's why we do these podcasts. So tell everybody, Pete, about Around the Galaxy and how they can follow your podcast.
Yeah, follow us Around the Galaxy every Thursday. You either get Around the Galaxy or Podcast of the Wills, to where we do a one-on-one interview show with people behind the fandom and sort of capture that moment when two Star Wars fans meet for the first time. And then on Friday nights, after this, where I'm headed, is our live Friday night show where we do a live Star Wars news conversation. We take calls from the audience and we engage with myself, Nick Milkey, and Chris Ryans. And we just have some fun talking Star Wars and hanging out with a group of folks. We open up the lines and we let people get all their Star Wars stuff out at the end of the week.
Which is going on in 20 minutes. So
in 20 minutes,
we finish up here, jump on over to Pete's live stream and talk more Star Wars with him. Thanks for joining us, Pete. Appreciate you. I'll let you run.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. This was fantastic. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Absolutely. Tim, tell everybody about the Nerd Room and all the things you've got going on.
Awesome, man. Well, again, just before I get into that, happy 5th anniversary to you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Time. We did the early days with the Commonwealth. It's now retired, and seeing you guys move, between Star Wars and then kind of broadening out to doing more pop culture has been great. And watching particularly your boys kind of grow and find their voices inside of this space has been pretty wild, actually. They've been articulate from day one. They've been engaging from day one, but as they've progressed and kind of found their niche space, it's been really cool to see you guys grow. And it's always been something that I turn back to and to hear some different opinions. So absolutely love what you guys are doing and where you guys are at, and look forward to seeing what you do with the next 5 years here. But I appreciate you guys inviting me on here. It's been great celebrating the 5th anniversary and everything. And you can find myself at the NerdRM on Twitter. My podcast, the Nerd Room Podcast, it comes out every single Thursday. We talk all things Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and beyond. So we're kind of that pop culture space. Having lots of fun just talking about the news and doing film reviews. And we've been doing it for 6-7 years now, I think. And it's something that's just become a passion. We love the space and try to always bring that air of positivity to everything that we're talking about and all this fandom that we love. We always like to think of it as this is a de-stressor, not a stressor. So let's have some fun with it. So again, congrats to you guys on the 5th anniversary.
Thank you, Tim. It's so good to have you on. Thank you for being in our corner for 5 years and always being every once in a while you just kind of pop in there and say something super encouraging, and you never know how timely those things are. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate it very much. So, Ben, the Star Wars Underworld and everything else that you've got going on, tell everybody about all that.
Well, okay, first of all, I forgot to mention, I should congratulate you guys on 5 years. This is an amazing, amazing milestone. 1,000 congratulations to you guys for keeping this going. I know we know it because we're veterans, but like some of you, they may not know about Star Wars podcasting. Podcasting is hard, guys. It's hard business, okay? It can be a bit of a stressful situation. It takes a lot, especially keeping a show going for 5 years. My goodness, that's a massive milestone. You guys have been rocking it. I'm so proud of you guys for what you've been doing. Really enjoyed the show, and just overall, you guys have been just amazing. And it just feels like yesterday you just started. You were little baby podcasters. Now you're all grown up. You're doing great. It's fantastic. I'm so proud.
Thank you.
But yes, as you mentioned, Star Wars Underworld Podcast is a podcast where we talk about the latest and greatest breaking Star Wars news every single week, Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. It's my buddies Hannah, Dominic, and Chris and myself, and we just break it all down. And sometimes we don't talk about the news at all because we have a new episode of Andor or whatever to talk about, and we ignored the news for 2 months. So we just caught up on everything last night. So that was fun. But yeah, and you can follow us at the SWU. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as mentioned, Discord, everywhere. Definitely go follow us there and check us out. Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I'm going to let you guys run, and we're going to finish up the show. But thank you guys so much again.
Take care, guys. All the best.
All right. Let's see here. I'm going to boot everybody off the stage now, so we make sure we can stay on top of it. And you guys are going to jump up here and continue the conversation with me. Let's see. Am I still on stage? I am. I'm going to turn this. Get it back to where both of these two can fit in there. And then you guys come on up here. Let's talk for a couple of minutes here and just do some Star Wars conversation to finish it up. First of all, I want to give a shout out to some people that tried to get into the show and had some struggles with it. We were having some technical issues at the beginning. That threw things off. This is a platform for those of you that are on Fireside regularly. It's a new platform, and it's iPhone only. And so one of our guests that we had tried everything they could to figure out how to get on was Fluke Skywalker, who's an amazing sequel era Luke Skywalker cosplayer who gets mistaken for Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker all the time. He was going to come on here and he was going to talk about the toy drive that he does. They actually have exceeded their goal for the toy drive. He dropped off a pinball machine for the Ronald McDonald House just yesterday. And he was going to come and talk a little bit about the charitable work that he does. But he wasn't able to get access because he's got an Android device and he couldn't get it to work out. So we've got that. Then we have Cam Ray, who Cam is an amazing satirist, Star Wars satirist. If you're not following him on Twitter and on TikTok and seeing his videos and stuff, you need to do that. He's hilarious. He is gifted at poking fun at all of the things that can be poked fun at within Star Wars, including fans. He has a series that he calls That's a Load of Star Wars, which is hilarious, where he sort of acts like a crazy, unhinged Star Wars fan and talks about those things. And he had a video that we were going to premiere tonight, but because he wasn't able to be on, I'm going to let him premiere that himself when in the next couple of days when that comes together, when that plan is all finished up. So Cam was going to be on here as well. Stephen Kent was tried to get in, but had some challenges getting in and wasn't able to get on for the segment with that. But Stephen has written an amazing book, which we read. We were one of we interviewed him very early on after it came out, called How the Force Can Fix the World. Stephen gets how what we talk about every episode, that pop culture is the mythology of our time and place, right? And so these stories within Star Wars speak to something within us, and that's why we love it so much, and that's why it can be so divisive because of that. And so Stephen was going to jump on; he was going to be a part of a couple of the segments with Pete or with Josh and Adam, but that wasn't able to make it. So I apologize that we weren't able to get him in, but I wanted to make sure we talked a little bit about that. Let's finish up the show. I want to make sure I know how much time we have left here because I want to respect that. Let's talk a little bit about what it's meant to you guys to do this show for the last 5 years, because what Ben talks about at the end of that is absolutely true. Podcasting is hard. And you have technical stuff that happens, like happened to us tonight.
Yeah.
And all of these things go on. I mean, I'll just say, of the 10 episodes that we released officially for Facebook Watch, how many of those do you think that we completely recorded
and had to re-record
and then had to go back and do all over again? Of the 10,
6,
yeah,
7,
at least.
It was a lot, and it was really frustrating because we had so much great discussion the first time, and then we had to remember what great points just naturally showed up in the first recording, and had to redo it again and see if we can naturally bring it in again. So it was definitely a challenge.
That was difficult. That was very difficult. And then afterwards, we finished recording and everything, and then we have to go through and caption the entire thing. That took forever because you had to make
the agreement with Facebook. This was before you had all these amazing tools that'll caption it. Like right now, I could put that video into a service online and get it captioned in about 20 minutes, and it would be almost perfect. Back then, it didn't work like that.
It did not.
For that. So, but I want to bring up somebody right now who's really important to the history of the show, because he was the first person to ever own a Turbis the Porg t-shirt. And he did a video about it when he got it and everything else. So I'm glad. He's so glad he's here. Michael Condon, we're bringing him up on stage. Let's see if we can get him in here. Let's see. I'm going to ask him to invite to video. And we're going to get him up on stage because I want to talk with Michael for a couple of minutes. So glad you're here, Michael. All right, we'll wait for him to come up. While we're waiting for Michael to come up on stage here, what's doing this podcast meant to you guys over the last 5 years? I'll let you go first.
I mean, it still blows my mind to think that anybody would care about this. I mean, we started this because we liked to talk about this stuff. We already talked about this stuff. So might as well put a mic in front of it, and if somebody wants to listen, cool. If not, we'll still do it anyway because it gives us an excuse to talk about it, and it gives Mom a break from having to hear it. And over 5 years, just by talking about the things that we love to already talk about, we have gotten to experience some things that people could only dream about. We've gotten to meet so many awesome people, as has been shown tonight. I mean, that's so humbling to see all these people just from over the years come to just support us because they loved what we do. I mean, just because we happen to enjoy fandom and talk about it, it's something you could never imagine happening. Like 5 years ago, if you had told us that this was going to happen, this is where we were going to be, I would have never believed you, because so many things have happened, and it's kind of been gradual. So it makes sense. But back then, it's just such a leap. You would have never guessed it.
Yeah.
It's such a blessing in every way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. BB Nate, what's this meant to you?
It's just a way for us to talk about pop culture in ways that we try to. We talk about it out of the side of the podcast, of course, but it allows us to really sit down and think about what we're about to talk about. And we try to make sure that we put everything into it and make sure we know what we're talking about and really mean what we're saying. And there are a lot of times when we write stuff in the notes and we really are like, okay, this is exactly what I'm thinking about this topic, and exactly what I'm wanting to kind of show everybody else that's listening what I'm thinking about this character or this segment or this movie or TV show. And it allows us to really share what we want to with this podcast. And it's always been an amazing way for kind of just to let us get out for everybody else what our crazy brains think of, and kind of write it down and talk about it. And it's always been a lot of fun to talk about all that.
It allows us to have deep and and complex conversations in a way that's easy to digest,
Right.
and for us to communicate with each other, because we're fans for the most part. So being able to relate real world deep points and discussions and topics to fandom and movies and things like that, it allows us to really have an interesting perspective on it and digest it in an easier way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you bring that kind of thing up, I think about the conversations that we had about things like racism when we were watching and having conversations in the Falcon and Winter Soldier period. That addresses those things, and we've often said that these stories allow us to have conversations about topics that we would struggle to have conversations with outside of it, and so that's why we love it so much. But Michael's here. And I see him right now. He's wearing a specific shirt. He's got a stuff like that going on. But tell us about why you were so compelled so early on when Turbis was like a day into being in existence. And it wasn't canon. We had thrown up a shirt like the day after all of that happened. Why you were so compelled to be the first person to order that shirt, and why you've been a fan of Tatooine Sons over the years. And so good to have you on here, Michael.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on, and congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Awesome.
But it wasn't even like I was really, I don't know, compelled for the shirt. It was just the story so amazing, and the story behind Turbis. And just inspiring, not for Star Wars, because that's a once in a million, once in a lifetime, for anyone, a generational thing that happened for you, but just perseverance and believing and trying and going around it the right way, and just being positive, and look what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Michael, tell me, what does Star Wars mean to you? Why are you such a huge fan of Star Wars?
That's really hard for me to put a finger on, because Star Wars has just always been there for me. Growing up, Star Wars was always there. It came out a little bit before I was born, but it was always there. So, I don't really know life without Star Wars being part of it, but it's very inspirational, and just like the basics of the story, the way they started off, and then the way it grew, and the storytelling, and it really is like the mythology of our time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the last 5 years for you when it comes to Star Wars. This fandom can be an amazing thing, like we've experienced tonight, right? Hanging out with so many different people from so many different backgrounds, so many different perspectives, and they all come together around Star Wars. And so this fandom can be an amazing thing, but you've experienced it. Everybody that was on the show tonight has experienced it. That sometimes this fandom can be a mess with this. And the last 5 years, especially on that, what is it that you love about Star Wars fans, and what advice would you give to Star Wars fans going forward?
Well, it's funny because my 5-year anniversary is coming up, and I think a couple of months. So I started right after you guys did.
Right.
And I started the one day there was nothing, and the next day there was the 2x2 Star Wars Network, and I had every social media there was. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I just want to make Star Wars friends.
Right.
You know, and I got really lucky because a bunch of podcasters, somebody saw me on Twitter and they're like, "Hey, you're in New York City. We're going to have a meetup. You want to, come join us?" And it was some really big names. You had Ben on here. Dominic was there. People that were, I didn't know anything and hadn't even started a podcast yet. And I'm hanging out with all these people. That's what really got it started. So it was really just to make Star Wars, to make friends to talk Star Wars with, and it really exploded. But then it got into being friends with so many people, and just everybody takes it so seriously. And I kind of got into that, and it wasn't, I was more on the side of let's just all have fun. Who really cares? And that really upsets people on all spectrums of the fandom. Because everyone wants to be right about their opinion, and when you just don't really care about anybody's opinion, you just want everybody to have fun. That upsets a lot of people.
Yeah. That's awesome. What have you enjoyed the most? What's been your favorite thing in the last 5 years when it comes to Star Wars? And what are you most looking forward to in the future on Star Wars, Michael?
I'm really excited for Rian Johnson whenever he gets his trilogy.
Absolutely.
As we know, I think that The Last Jedi is, it's the most Jedi of movies about Jedi. So if you want to call it like the most Star Wars movie there is. So I'm hoping that we get something for that, somewhat soon. What somewhat soon means, I don't know, because I'm going to guess it's still years and years away. Because I'm going to go with we're probably not going to get anything until 25. Also, it's going to be 2 or 3 years. Just trying to figure out the movie. It's going to be 6 months of pre-production and 6 months of shooting and 6 months of whatever. So you're talking 2 years easy before we're going to get anything.
Sadly.
Yeah.
But you
mentioned that you're just a couple months out from your fifth anniversary of doing these creating content around the Star Wars universe and galaxy. With that, if you were to go back to Michael Condon 2Med2 in whatever, like January of 2018 or February or whenever it was, and give him one piece of advice when it comes to this podcasting and content creation journey that you've been on, what would you tell him?
Try and stick with people that are the most positive. Because I've had my ups and downs in the fandom, and I just kind of got to a point where I was just, it wasn't worth the energy trying to be in the fandom and do everything with everybody, whereas I just want to enjoy Star Wars by myself and with a few people, and every once in a while come and talk to great people like you.
That's awesome. Michael, thank you so much for being a part of this celebration tonight, for being a part of our conversation and our Tatooine Sons family for the past 5 years. We really do appreciate you.
And I just gotta let you, this bad boy right here, that came from you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome. Appreciate you so much. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. Happy holidays.
See you.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That's it.
Yeah.
We did
5
the show.
years.
5 years. That's still crazy.
And we had a little bit of a train wreck.
Of course, but that's just
because that's
just
Tatooine Sons.
Yeah.
Always have to have a train wreck
with it. But we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. For those of you that are new to Tatooine Sons, maybe that you saw some stuff on Twitter and decided to tune in, or somebody else invited you, or you're new to, or you're a part of the Fireside community and you're jumping in here.
Yeah.
We want to welcome you to the Tatooine Sons family. We hope you'll engage with us through our website at Tatooine Sons. That's SONS, just like in our username. go to that website and find more information about us. Follow us on all the socials. We would certainly appreciate that. We'd love for you to follow the podcast. We've got some new things that are going to be happening with the show in 2023. We're going to change up our cadence a little bit, change up how often we do episodes, and then do some different things in between those episodes in order to allow us to have different conversations that we haven't been able to have as much for the past 5 years. And also to allow this guy who's a junior in college and a lot on his plate to have a little bit more time to focus on school and a little less time to focus on podcasts. So we're going to deal with that as well. But then what we're also going to do is, just so you know, if you're new and you're kind of super excited to tune into Tatooine Sons, we'd love for you to go back and listen to some of the previous episodes, because we're not going to have any episodes come out for the next couple of weeks. He's got finals next week. I'm traveling to 2 different places next week. And then the week after that, we're going to go to the Mouse House. We're going to spend some time at Walt Disney World, celebrating the holidays and a vacation, and celebrating my amazing wife, Christy, and their mom, who has sacrificed as much as we have sacrificed in order for this podcast to exist. So if you love Tatooine Sons, you owe a huge debt of thanks to my wife, Christy, for putting up with this insanity for the past 5 years with that. So thank you, Christy. We love you. I love you so much. Thank you for being a part of this. I think that's going to do it. Is there anything else you guys would like to say?